happy people. This is Mr. Wilcox. This is the first lesson in statistics. I will make these videos for every lesson so that if you're ever gone or you have any questions, you can look back on it. I'm just going to go through the slides like I would in class without pauses. So if you want to write anything down, please feel free to pause the video. So this first chapter is just a whole lot of vocabulary so that we understand what we're talking about. We can talk about statistics, data, types of measurement, stuff like that. So today that's what we're going to be looking at. So before we start anything, we need to talk about what statistics is. So statistics is a science. It's a science of collecting, tabulating, and systematically classifying quantitative data. So basically, it's looking at numbers and what do they mean, and if we display them, what properties are shown, what patterns shown, and what does that mean for a population, what does that mean for the sample. Basically it's looking at numbers again and telling what kind of pattern it shows and what can we tell from different measurements, different calculations. So we'll be figuring that out throughout the year. There are two types of statistics. There's descriptive statistics. So the main word there is describe. So be descriptive to describe something. So they summarize or display data to make an overview. So you do an experiment and you report out what happened. So basically you're going to use a table. You're going to use calculations just so what happened. Inferential statistics, on the other hand, the main word is infer. So you're going to take, and you're going to have an experiment that has a sample, and from that sample, you're going to take whatever happens and infer it to the bigger population. So you're going to make a claim based on a smaller part of the population about the entire population. We're going to take a closer look at both descriptive and inferential statistics. So what do you need to have them? So the four elements you need to have to make a descriptive statistic is a population, a characteristic you're looking at, and then you're going to have the experiment where you make a table, a graph, maybe you're going to make a numerical summary, which may not make sense to you now, but will when we get into things. You can have a list of numbers that people can look at, things like mean, median, and mode. And then you have to identify the pattern. So what happened? What can you tell from this? Is there a pattern or is there no pattern at all? All of those things help tell what happened. So describe what happened. The 5 things you need to make inferential statistics. Then you still need a population, and you still need a characteristic. But now instead of an entire population, we're going to just ask a sample. And from that sample, we're going to make an inference, or we're going to take the information from the sample and make it apply to the entire population. And then we're going to have to tell how reliable it is. So, for example, when you look at political polls for the upcoming election, they only ask a sample of the population. They take what they know about that sample and infer it to the entire population to make a guess about who will win. And we all know that there is a chance for error there, so that's the measure of reliability. Data. Data is just any value assigned to an observation or a measurement. So any number you can collect, or even basically anything you can collect, like you have in science class with Miss Mosley or Miss Hanson. Those have all been data. Just know that we'll be using data. You'll be collecting your own data. We'll be looking at data sets throughout the class. In your big project, you will be making a question, and you will be actually collecting a whole lot of data so that you can basically answer a question that you ask. So we'll talk about that later. Types of data. There are two ways to look at data. The first way is it qualitative or is it quantitative? So qualitative data is categorical. It can be placed into a category. So things that are categorical would be like your gender, the month you were born, um, your name, your race, all of those, your favorite kind of ice cream, all those types of things are categorical. Quantitative actually has a number that goes with it. So something you can count or measure. So something like your age, your height, your temperature, um, number of people in the room. Those are all numbers. So that'd be quantitative. So qualitative, a quality or a category, quantitative, a quantity or a number. Another way to look at data is where you got the data from. So is it primary? So like I said, you will be collecting your own data. So you'll be the primary source. We'll also be looking at data sets that have already been collected. So those would be secondary. So that would be someone else's data that you borrow. And when you borrow data, just like when you borrow information in any paper, you make sure you cite the source. Where did it come from? That becomes extremely important because our big project is how to lie with numbers. So hiding where you got the data from or misquoting where you got the data from is a good way to make data look like it says something that it does not. So the only example I have for you, we're just going to identify the qualitative, quantitative data from the following. So your NBA team, the region of the United States, average yearly payroll, and number of championships. So your NBA team in the hint is just the individual who your data is collected by. So like if you have a name, that really wouldn't be data unless you were trying to find something with the name, which since each team has a unique name, here it would not be data. But region of the US, would that be qualitative or quantitative? While if you're east, west, southwest, those are all categories of the United States. So since they're categories, that'd be qualitative. The average yearly payroll, those are all numbers. Those are all measurements they found by adding up how much each person earns and dividing it by the number of people to find the average. So that is quantitative data. Number of championships, that is something you can count. So that is also quantitative data. So this was just a quick run through of the first lesson. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. Your homework is a worksheet to be found. It's found on Brightspace. It's called Intro to Statistics Worksheet, and it is attached right to where you turn it in. All right, so have a great day, Cardinals, and make it count.